What's good, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome back to the Water Boys channel. As we have a big name undrafted free agent coming in, we have a trade to talk about, and we have a familiar face that might be staying in Kansas City. But before we do dive into that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's dive into some of this news that happened around the Kansas City Chiefs today. So we're going to break it off in order of how the news basically broke today with each of these three items that happened, and we're going to start it off bright and early with Justyn Ross. The Chiefs signed him to a contract. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. This is honestly basically a low risk, high reward type of signing. I'm actually very impressed that KC went this route and went after him. Now, this is a special, talented player. Freshman year and sophomore year, he had rumors of being a first round draft pick, and then we all know the injury risk is what basically derailed him and took him off, because it's not no little injury we're messing with here. He had a spinal infusion, for people who don't know, and why his stock fell so bad. And honestly, coming into the draft too, we knew his tongue twisted. His draft stock was gonna fall, which we were imagining maybe third or fourth round pick. We were in that area. We never in our right minds for anybody that all 32 teams would pass on him for 7 rounds. That was something that was very highly unlikely, but it happened, and I get it too, because those medical risks, that's very high, because last thing you want to see is someone of his stature get like severely hurt. And I'm not even going to say type of injuries that could happen, because I don't want to put it into the universe like that. But we know the back and the spine is something you just don't want to mess with. But he has been medically cleared. He did play last year too, and I trust our training staff, Rick Buckholder and all of them. Chiefs always seem to maintain to be healthy in that. Now, again, I'm going to knock on wood too, because I don't want to jinx that as well, but he always looks out for the players. He has the players in the best shape, and I think if he just has a core focus on Justyn Ross here, he can be a key addition. And I'm just so excited for this too, because honestly, I was also like overlooking Justyn Ross too. Like, I would have liked him in the 4th and 5th round, but there was rumors of him potentially going to KC in the 2nd round. I was like, ugh, that's too rich for my blood. I don't like that whatsoever. But now that you get him as an undrafted free agent, like a huge steal. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong too. And then we're going to dive in more, and I'm going to have a separate video on the wide receivers, because now this wide receiver core is like probably the deepest it's ever been in the Andy Reid era, definitely the Mahomes era. So I'm going to dive in a separate video, and we're going to talk about that too. But I think the camp battle to watch out for is going to be Josh Gordon versus Justyn Ross. They're both similar statures. I don't see KC keeping both of those guys, and I'm just going to give a sneak peek right now. I think if Justyn Ross and Josh Gordon, let's say, have similar productions during training camp, you go with Justyn Ross. And honestly too, I'm probably drinking the Kool-Aid and things like that, but let's say all medical clears out and everything is perfectly fine. You can roll with the Sky Moore and Justyn Ross, and that's your future at wide receiver. Just think about it. Like, you got your small, he's speedy, but like he's your possession speedster in Sky Moore, and then you got your big body frame in Justyn Ross still as an undrafted free agent. And hopefully that's what KC is looking at too. I'm not saying just throw him into the fire right away. Definitely not for someone with medical issues, but man, to give him time to learn too. And this is a different scenario too, because if he performs in training camp and in preseason, this isn't someone I think you can cut and hope to get on your practice squad, because the league has him on notice, and the league wants to see how he does in KC. So KC can't hope to put a practice squad flyer on him, because someone's going to snap him up and sign him instead of put him on a practice squad. That's why I would say if it's between Ross and Gordon, I don't think someone will be on right away where you could stash Gordon back on the practice squad. Ross, I don't think so much. I think Ross has like literally great potential. Now, the risk is very high too. This is definitely a gamble, but it's a gamble I'm glad Veach took, because it just makes the wide receiving room more interesting, and you can see it adds to what Veach has been trying to do with this offense too, is he's adding more size. I know Sky Moore isn't the biggest guy, but just look at everyone else he's added with the Justyn Ross. You got a Josh Gordon, an MVS. Juju, he's not the biggest guy, but stature-wise, like, he is big. So it's interesting to see what they're building on this offense. So let me know down below how you guys feel about this Justyn Ross signing. Do you think they should not have took the risk, or are you like buying everything that Casey's doing right now? Honestly, with me, I think this is an A-plus undrafted free agent signing. He was probably arguably the best undrafted free agent out there, and KC did everything they need to. And honestly, it caps up off an A-plus draft with like an A++. That's how I'm really liking this now. But let's dive into more news with the Kansas City Chiefs. And they made a trade today, a minor one, nothing too crazy, maybe surprising though. Kansas City traded a 7th round 2024 to the Houston Texans for Lonnie Johnson. Again, we talked about how deep this wide receiver room. Let's talk about how deep this DB safety room, whatever you want to call it. This is crazy what Veach is doing. Another big stature guy, 6'2", 215 for a cornerback. Now, yes, he has not had the best of career in Houston, but he has shown flashes, he has shown potential, and this had Brett Veach riding all over it. He loves to go after those first round, second round guys that don't happen to pan out. You're going to be a Kansas City Chief. That's just regardless. Also, too, he gets to team up with his former teammate in Justyn Reed. They already got a connection, which you love to see. How do I view this going in the long term? He's going to be in a battle like everyone else. And if KC ends up cutting him, they lose 2024 7th round pick. Again, low risk, high reward. Brett Veach is a genius for doing this. I love it. Lonnie Johnson, he can be an instant impact. He can be a backup no matter what. You don't lose this trade. I'm surprised Texans went with this, but what it's showing me is that Texans were probably going to release him eventually. So Chiefs are like, well, I don't want to be in a bidding war for the guy. Just let me have him. I think his contract's only $1 million too, so that is also cheapened as well. Definitely for someone like, I'm not comparing as for the player, like personnel or like the player profile, but if you were going to go for a James Bradberry, that's $13 million there. Now, yes, James Bradberry is better, but if James Bradberry is cut, imagine KC being all over that one too. They still got money to play with. I think this Lonnie Johnson trade is an A right now. I think it'll always end up to be an A, even if they release him, because you're not losing anything for him. Now, let's talk about the final news piece of today for Kansas City that they, I guess, announced. I don't know how you want to kind of structure it, honestly. This was something new to me. I've been following the NFL for a long time, and I haven't seen nothing like this. And I guess the Chiefs and Ravens decided to tender. The Ravens tendered Justyn Houston, a former Chief, and then the Chiefs tendered Melvin Ingram. Now, what does this mean? Because this is news to me. It's probably news to a lot of people too, because this is something we rarely ever see. So apparently what this means is they tendered them for 110% of their contract. Now, I might be incorrect to this. I might not know anything what I'm talking about because I don't. I'm just going off of tweets and things I've seen. But it basically equates to a 1-year, $4.4 million contract. That means they got, any team has till July 22nd to sign Melvin Ingram to a contract greater than that. Or that, see, I don't want to mess this up. But, or he is a Kansas City Chief and he takes that contract. If another team signs him, KC gets a draft pick, which is crazy. That's something I've never seen. And it's also too, like, why are more teams doing this? Like, it's a win-win scenario. One, for these veteran old players, because we know, like, the lights of Melvin Ingram and Justyn Houston, they don't want to go to training camp, but they got a contract on the table for them ready to go. So when they do come, they're ready to show out and do what they normally do. And also, too, if another team offers them a richer contract than what's on the table of that $4.4 million, KC gets a draft pick. Like, who loses out in that scenario? Like, that's like, it's like mind-boggling. I never heard this before. Definitely for how long I've been covering, not covering, but been a fan of the NFL. So it's interesting to see, but it sounds like Melvin Ingram will be a Kansas City Chief. What jersey will he wear next year is the question, because Sky Moore went 24. Does he go back to that young Kobe, number 8? I'd love to see it. I'd probably get it. Like, I want to see an Ingram number 8 rushing the pass rusher. That'd be fun. And then you got 24 and Sky Moore out there. It's going to be interesting to see. This is interesting news that happened for Chiefs Kingdom today. Also love that Brett Veach, he's like, oh, you guys thought draft was over? I'm still working. We still building a team. It's crazy when February was here and everyone was counting us out. Happens every year. And then Brett Veach builds hell of a team. This is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Brett Veach always has us in it. He knows how to mold the staff. But let me know down below how you're feeling about these transactions today. And with that, I'm going to be signing off. But like I did mention, please do subscribe to the channel because I'm going to keep you up to date on any Kansas City Chief news related. I think I'm drawing a blank, but doesn't the schedule come out this week? If it does, I'm all over it, so you ain't going to miss out on that. And I do want to dive in more into these undrafted free agents that we did sign, because we did get some interesting ones. That wasn't going to be this video, but I didn't expect the Chiefs to make this much noise today, but here we are. So I'm going to close this video out. Hope you guys enjoy. If you did, please leave me that big thumbs up and like this video, and y'all take care. Peace.